You open your VA claims file and find a sentence that seems to describe your life, but it leaves out the date, the context, and the details you remember. You feel your stomach tighten. Is that automatically proof the VA got something wrong? Not necessarily, but it is a reason to slow down, mark the page, and ask a better question. A C file is not a verdict, and it is not a complete biography. It is a map of what the VA had, what it recorded, and what you may need to clarify. Today, I'll show you how to read that map without getting lost in the paperwork.
Welcome to the Veteran Benefits Reset Podcast, where we help veterans and their families better understand the VA disability benefits process, one step at a time. I'm Cameron Burrell, a U.S. Army veteran and founder of VetBiz Media. This episode is for anyone who has never seen a C file, anyone reviewing an old decision, and anyone who has opened a stack of records and thought, I know my story is in here somewhere, but I don't know where to begin. This is an independent educational resource, not legal or medical advice. Verify current procedures through official VA resources and consider speaking with a VA accredited veteran service organization, claims agent, or attorney when appropriate.
Let's start with the basic idea. A VA claims file is a collection of claim-related records maintained in connection with your VA claims and appeals history. It can show what was submitted, what correspondence was sent, what examinations were documented, what evidence was considered, and what decisions were issued. But it is not automatically every page of your military service. It is not necessarily your complete service treatment record, your full VA health record, your private medical chart, or your entire employment history.
Some portions of those other records may appear in the claims file if they were submitted, requested, or considered for a claim. That is why the distinction matters. If a recent treatment note is not in your C file, that does not automatically mean it is missing from the VA health system. If a service record is not in the claims file, that does not automatically prove it was never created. The file tells you about the claims process and the information connected to it. It does not contain everything about you.
Now imagine a veteran named Dana. Dana receives a large digital file and sees applications, VA letters, a service record, medical records, an examination report, a personal statement, and an old decision. At first, it looks like a pile of unrelated pages, but it is really a timeline. Data can ask, what did I submit? What did the VA request? What was documented? What decision followed? That shift from hunting for a magic sentence to building a timeline is one of the most useful changes you can make. Dana's file might begin with an application or another claim form. It may include later submissions, requests for review, statements, or documents connected to an appeal. Then there may be VA correspondence, requests for information, examination notices, development letters, and decision documents. The file may also include medical evidence, examination reports, service records, and statements from Dana or from people with first-hand knowledge of relevant events or symptoms. Prior decisions may explain what evidence was discussed and how the claim was addressed at that point in time. Here is the important part. Seeing a document in the file does not tell you by itself how much weight it received. And not seeing a document in your copy does not automatically prove it was never considered. A record has to be understood in context. A form may have an old address. A medical note may summarize a history differently from a later examination. A statement may leave out details you remember clearly. Those differences deserve careful questions, not instant conclusions. How do you get access to the file? The exact request route, forms, identity verification steps, response times, and available formats can change, so do not rely on an old online post or a confident comment from someone whose situation is different. Start with current information from va.gov or another official VA source. You can also ask an accredited representative what the current process is, what records may be available, and what format you should expect. Verify before you act. When the file arrives, do not feel obligated to read every page in one marathon session. That is how dates, abbreviations, and repeated documents start blending together. Instead, use 3 simple columns. The first says what the record says. The second says what is unclear, incomplete, or worth checking. The third says what question you should ask next. You are not trying to solve an entire claim in one evening. You are creating a reliable list for the next responsible conversation.
Let's use Dana's examination report. Suppose page 143 says, symptoms began in 2016. Dana remembers describing symptoms before that date. Column 1 says, page 143 records onset as 2016. Column 2 says, my earlier statement described symptoms before 2016, and I need to compare the wording and dates. Column 3 says, which records should an accredited representative and I review together to understand this difference? Notice what Dana did not write. Dana did not write, this proves the examiner lied, or this guarantees a favorable result. Dana captured the exact language and turned concern into a precise question.
Now, Dana finds a date problem. The claims file shows one date for a submission, while Dana's personal folder has a confirmation showing a different date. Column 1 records both dates and the documents where they appear. Column 2 says the timeline is unclear. Column 3 asks how the discrepancy should be understood and whether additional verification is appropriate. The same process works for a document Dana believes was submitted but cannot locate. Dana records what was sent, how it was sent if known, and what evidence exists that it was received. Missing from one copy is not the same as missing from every record.
Pause there, because this is where assumptions can cause trouble. An inconsistency may matter, or it may have an explanation you cannot see from one page. A duplicate document may simply be a duplicate. An unfavorable phrase may be a summary that needs to be read alongside the full report. Write down the exact wording, the date, the document name, and the page number. Then take that information to a qualified, accredited representative. A precise question is more useful than a general feeling that something is wrong.
A simple index can make the file much easier to use. For each important document, record the date, document type, a short description, and the page range. Name your saved files consistently. A format such as 2024-05-18, VA correspondence, examination notice, is easier to find than Scan to or New Document. If the file is large, create smaller working folders for correspondence, medical evidence, examinations, decisions, and your own notes. Keep the original file unchanged and work from copies when possible. Protect the information too. Claims files can contain sensitive medical, service, contact, and financial details. Store them securely. If a family member or a caregiver helps you, agree on one protected location and one naming system. If you share records with a representative, use the secure method that representative recommends. Avoid posting screenshots or personal documents in public groups for quick opinions. Once private information is online, you may lose control over who saves or forwards.
And more pages are not automatically better evidence. A 300-page upload can bury the one page that actually answers the question. Do not send every document simply because it appears in the file, or because someone online says that more paperwork is always better. First, understand what the document is, why it may be relevant, and whether submitting it is appropriate for the matter being considered. Education before action. Facts over frustration. So what should you remember? A C file is a claims-related history, not your complete military, medical, or employment record. It may contain applications, correspondence, service records, medical evidence, examination reports, statements, and decisions. Access procedures can change, so verify current instructions through official VA resources or an accredited representative. And when you review the file, keep returning to 3 questions. What does the record say? What is unclear or missing? What questions should I ask next? If you remember only one thing, do not read your C file looking for a single sentence that guarantees an answer. Read it looking for the next precise question. Before the next episode, create a 1-page question list. Include the document name or page reference, the concern you noticed, and the question you want to discuss. You can begin with just one document, one step, one record, one mission. Stay organized, stay informed, and take the next responsible step.
Thanks for listening to the Veteran Benefits Reset podcast. This podcast is an independent educational resource. It is not legal or medical advice, and it does not replace guidance from a VA-accredited veteran service organization, claims agent, or attorney. Every veteran's service, medical history, records, and circumstances are different, so verify current information through official VA resources and work with accredited professionals when appropriate.
If this episode helped you understand your claims file, follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with another veteran, family member, or caregiver who could benefit. Download the free 7-step Veteran Benefits Reset Guide at vetbizmedia.com/veteran7. And remember, your service did not expire. Your story is still worth reviewing. Take the next responsible step.